All right, good afternoon, evening, and morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of TnT Knows It All Sports. It's your host, Tye, on this special day. Over to my left or right is my man's co-host.
What's going on, everybody? Yep, that's how I got his Knicks gear on. He wants to talk about the Knicks today.
Ooh, orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies. Orange and blue skies. But yeah, we'll get into that. But I heard there's a big game coming up soon. I don't know what it's called. Um,
Yeah.
It's like that commercial. I love that commercial with what's his face? David Beckham and his wife. It's
Oh
for
yeah,
Uber Eats. It's pretty hilarious. It's like, oh,
yeah,
it's hockey.
yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. But yeah,
Yep.
so go ahead. You're gonna say something?
Super Bowl. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
Super.
Super
Yeah,
Bowl. Yep, Super
the
Bowl
Super
in
Bowl.
Vegas. Yep. So I will tell you this. Not as excited about the Super Bowl as other ones, but that's okay. Um, but we'll get into that. I'll explain that later. Um, so we got an agenda today. Agenda is we're gonna recap the NFC and AFC championship games since we didn't get a chance to do that. We'll talk about those games, both very entertaining in their own way. Um, very interesting results. Well, I mean, I was right with my picks, but the way that happened was interesting. Then we're gonna do a Super Bowl preview. We'll actually talk about the matchup and give our thoughts um, and make our picks. And last but not least, we will talk about the NBA trade deadline. So luckily, we were filming this right after the deadline was over. We kind of worked out. So we'll talk about some of the moves and what things we liked and did not like from teams that did stuff and that did not do things and give our point of view as we get through the stretch run of the NBA season because NFL is done. It's time for NBA. So folks that get on late, and I know a few of you, you know, you get to enjoy that. And All-Star weekend is next weekend, so that should be fun as well.
Yeah,
All
a
right.
real one. Unlike that Pro Bowl
Oh
flag. I
yeah,
don't know. They got to get rid of the Pro Bowl, man.
yeah,
Do a war ceremony.
right.
Ceremony, you know,
It's like
like just
tug of
this
war.
stupid.
It's like we're doing tug of war.
Yeah,
Is that happening right now? Like, is this a wheelbarrow? I
dodgeball.
was like, is this a wheelbarrow race that's happening at this moment? Like,
Yeah, slow it down.
yeah, it's confusing. I do like the flag football though. As somebody that played flag, it's hard. Like those guys realize it's you got a lot of space to
Hmm.
cover. I thought it was good. It got kind of competitive at the end. I saw guys diving and stuff, making plays. So I actually don't mind the flag football part, but yeah, the
Well,
rest
shit,
of
they
it
want some
could be.
money.
Yeah,
All they
yeah,
want to get the money, 150,000 versus
yeah,
100,000.
yep. So, but yeah, so let's start with the NFC. I mean NFC and AFC championship games. So let's go in the order of the games. Actually, that makes sense. So the first game was the AFC Championship game in Baltimore, Kansas City versus Baltimore. Um, Kansas City won 17-10. I mean, it was
It's
a
ugly game.
disgusting uh, game. Um, Not surprised that that happened. I think I said it before the playoffs that whoever wins that Bills Chiefs game is going to go to Super Bowl. It actually looked like I mean, it's going to sound bad for some people, but it actually looked like that game was easier for Kansas City than the Bills game. Like I didn't really feel like
Yeah.
they weren't going to win at any point, you know. Um, you know, I did think Baltimore finally started playing defense well in the second half. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'll continue, I guess. I was just baffled at Baltimore's game plan. Like, I mean, maybe they need to subscribe to TNT Sports. You can, knows it all sports. Us. Um, I mean, Kansas City's defense is like top 3 or 4 in the league overall. But if you break it down from offense and I mean, from pass defense and run defense, they're not right. So, like we did talked about in the Bills game when the Bills played them, you gotta be able to run the ball, which the Bills actually did a very good job of running, and then stopped in the end, and that was probably the deciding factor of the game. Baltimore didn't even attempt to run. They ran like what
18,
six,
16
18?
times.
Yeah, 16 times. How many times with an actual running back? 12
Yeah.
or
No,
10?
with a no. Lamar ran about 8 times. So
Yes, so 10.
eight. So yeah, 10. Yeah.
Yep, 10
No, I'm
times.
sorry. 16 times. 16 times. So they only ran it eight times. You're right.
Yep, 8 attempts running the ball with an actual running back against a team
Well, I
that.
actually,
Oh, sorry.
my apology. Six, because two of
Okay.
them was Zay Flowers.
Oh,
I
that's
had to look
right.
it
I
up.
knew. I
That's
thought it
even
was six.
worse.
I thought it was six. I was like, I
Okay.
think I remember being six. 6 times.
Yeah.
Okay, six against a team that is not very good at stopping the run. What are you doing? And you know what they were doing? They were eating, somehow, for some reason, drinking the Kool-Aid. And like, we got the MVP on our team. So we're going to show that the MVP is going to go out there and win the game. How about you just try to win a game and not, do its best to win that game? Um, Very
Mhm.
disappointed in that game plan. Lamar had he didn't play the worst game ever, but he did not play a good game. Put it that way. Like they put it in his hands and he did not play a good game. He missed a lot of throws that he should have been able to get a lot. Made clear that interception was just just a terrible decision, but that happens. Shouldn't happen there. Zay Flowers at the fumble was also bad. But I just think Kansas City did enough to win. I figured they were going to not make the mistakes, let Baltimore make mistakes. Baltimore had 5 penalties that caused first downs. So because of their penalty, they gave Kansas City first down 5 times in the game. You can't do that. You can't give a team that already is well coached and managed well extra downs. And
Yeah.
I think, I mean, you hold a team to 17 points, you're supposed to win. And
Yeah.
your great offense scored 10, that's a problem to me. So that's my thoughts overall. I'm sure you got way more things to talk about, but I was watching the game, I was very disappointed watching the game. Sad that I was right, but clearly I was right.
Yeah.
Kansas City was going to win. And I'm going to be under, by the way. That's which I was right on both.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be a little bit more harsh. I watched all the tape. I watched the all 22. Lamar is Lamar. I mean, like I said, he's a good quarterback, but his strength is not passing the ball. I don't
Right.
know why. I mean, his strength is not passing the ball.
Yeah.
There's only one true to me. There's only one real true dual uh, quarterback
Yeah.
in the definition, and his name is Josh Allen. It's not Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts also is
No.
not very. So unless you have Josh, and imagine he had the weapons. Imagine they switch teams. Put Josh Allen on the Ravens. We'll see what happens. But
Yeah.
this is where, before I get into the details, this is why Kansas City's driving me crazy, because people are almost doing the Patriots type of thing. They're like trying to out scheme them, outthink them. People abandon their game plans. Buffalo did that in the second half
Mhm.
of actually fourth quarter of last week, and then Baltimore did too, right? So the first drive, I'm going to break it down just very simple. First drive, I believe Kansas City deferred, right? So Baltimore got the
Mhm.
ball.
Yep.
So Baltimore got the ball, and just like Buffalo, well, Buffalo actually didn't defer; they actually wanted the ball first, right? So when you go to Kansas City, I was expecting like a long like drive with some plays. Then we see three passes in a row, right? Lamar missing people. He had Nelson Aguilar open. He had Mark Andrews open. He
Mhm.
just wasn't. You could see he wasn't triggered, and so it just I was confused on what they were doing. So it's three and
Yeah.
out. Then Kansas City got the ball and went all the way down the field and got a touchdown. Now it's all about how do you come back. Now Baltimore scored a touchdown in the second drive, but that's because Leo Chanel missed a sack and Lamar, I'll give him credit, threw it to Zay Flowers' great pass. Now you're like, oh, 7-7. Now here's where the game changed. Then after that, Chiefs punted Guess what happened on the next drive? You all, well, not guess what happened. You already know what happened in the next drive. Lamar fumbled the ball. It's like, why are you passing the ball? You got the momentum. Actually,
Right.
before he even fumbled the ball, he almost got sacked for a safety.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
So then he got out of it. And the next play he fumbled the ball. And that's where the game went. Now, Kansas City didn't look good at all. Like, I mean, if you watch the game, they had two drives that looked good. Other than that,
Yeah.
Baltimore's defense literally Kansas City didn't score until what? No, they didn't score. They didn't score from
Yes.
after the 8 minute mark in the second quarter in the second half. They scored nothing.
Right.
So they scored all their points in the first quarter and in 4 minutes into, I'm sorry, 8 minutes into the second quarter. They didn't
Right.
score at all. So Baltimore defense, like, what else you want to do? You know what I'm saying? Like, we stopped you.
Yep.
Then Baltimore's offense, and this is why the coach, Ty Munkin, is not a head coach. He didn't even interview, I don't think,
No.
for a head coach
Yeah, he lost. He
position
lost
because
his
they're like,
opportunity.
yeah, you're like, what are you doing? You're not running the ball. Gus Edwards had a one run for what was it, like a 15-yard run, and then after that he touched it one more time. It was a bad game plan. I was just honestly confused on that. And so let's talk about you talk about this the weakness. Kansas City gives up over 5 yards a carry.
Right.
So this is where I was watching the all 22, and I just was confused on what they were thinking, right? So I like Zay Flowers, but I mean he played a very good game actually, but no one else was getting open. Like, I know Odell's father was talking trash, but he was getting locked down by Trent McDuffie or Snead. So Odell was nowhere to be found.
Mm.
My feelings about Bateman. He's just non-existent. So nobody was getting open, but they weren't running the ball high. You could see like Spags was like, okay, now they're not running the ball.
Right.
So F it, I'm gonna put 5 DBs out there because you're not even running. I'm gonna have a spy out there. I'm gonna make sure Lamar is, in the pocket because they're not running. So what? Basic football. I think Marcus Spears said it. If you're Lamar, this is where I question Lamar do audibles. But let me
Hmm.
pause for a second. But if I'm seeing that there are six small guys and and 5 big guys, right? And I have 5 big guys already. Why wouldn't I just run the ball like audible, do RPO or something like that? It was weird when you watch the game. It just was weird. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just an interesting game. But I mean, I have a lot more to break down, but I really don't want to spend time on their sorry asses because Baltimore blew that game. Honestly, Baltimore lost the game. Kansas City didn't win the game. Baltimore literally lost
Of
that
course.
game. So
I mean,
because
yeah,
Zay Flowers fumbled it,
yeah.
so
I agree. I mean,
likely.
I don't think that's interesting you say that. I think it's like even because I don't know. It's kind of hard to say Baltimore lost. I mean, they did lose because they didn't play well, but there's no
Right.
point in that game where I was like, man, Baltimore should be winning this game. Like, I didn't feel that way, even though they were, because maybe it was the play calling. Like, I did not think that Baltimore was going to win the game watching it. I was
Yeah.
hoping that was going to
Yeah.
happen, but they just didn't. They just never got going. And
Well,
even when they got going, it was, like even if Zay would have scored that touchdown, for example, I
mhm.
still don't think Baltimore would have won. I feel
No,
like it
I
would have been
mean, no.
closer. I mean, but I mean,
It,
you saw
yeah,
like
it would.
it'd been 20-17
It,
versus 17-10. That's what I think would have happened. And
yeah, I
Kansas City
mean,
would have won.
yeah, it was close. But Lamar passed the ball 30 some times. I mean,
Right.
20 out of 37. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
he was 54% for the. It just, but what I like about so let me say something. I'm
Hmm.
going to be a Bills homer, but I'm going to say it again. Please don't disrespect Josh Allen and say Lamar is better. Can we stop? Stop, please. I mean, Mark Andrews hurt, but he has. This was a Ravens year. They literally historically, the only team in NFL history that have the number one scoring defense, in total yards and turnovers. Like no team, not even the '85 Bears or the 2001 Ravens,
Hmm.
had this type of defense, right? Statistically.
Hmm.
So they literally had the best defense. I mean, I don't even remember. Both their linebackers were all pros. Kyle Hamilton all pro. It just they had a
Yeah.
nasty. You can see it. You can see it except for those two. If you take those two drives, Kansas City didn't really do anything.
No.
And Lamar, we got to give Lamar more weapons. Okay, you got Odell, you got Zay Flowers you drafted. Your line looks good. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, I don't
you
know,
got
man.
likely and
Like,
Andrews.
yeah, and then you can put anybody to run the ball back there. That's just how Baltimore is. So best kicker in NFL history, and and I'm just saying, if they can't win with this team, I don't know what else to say. But
Yeah, I know. It's
have your MVP, Lamar, even though
yeah, yeah. Enjoy the MVP. I mean, hey, we
yeah,
said it
pull
before. It's
Aaron
not a
Rodgers.
knock on Lamar, and now people are gonna be upset. I mean, hey, I get if you
Yeah,
want to make a arbitrary rule and say because you're the quarterback on the best team, you get the MVP. Great. I'm glad you made that rule. But that's not what I thought the MVP was. They had the best defense in the league. They also had the number one running game. If you took out Lamar's running, they would be top three in running without Lamar.
right,
So what are we talking about here? Like, I mean, that's like saying again,
right.
Brock Purdy is MVP when you got McCaffrey out there again, like 2,000, total yards, 20 touchdowns. Like, what do we,
Yeah,
you're not gonna
that
say that.
right.
So, but anyway,
The
good for him.
MVP was crazy compared. Yeah, I mean, good for him. You got two MVPs, but how many playoff wins, guys? He has as many playoff wins as he has MVPs. By the way, I'm not knocking him.
Yeah,
I'm not knocking Lamar, by the way, but unfortunately, I gotta give smoke because people were
yeah,
talking crazy. My thing is this, like Josh Allen, even Herbert, but his team is trash. But
right.
they get so much ridicule. But
Mhm.
Lamar, it's like he was getting a little smoke, but not like last week. It was 2 weeks ago. It was all Josh Allen's fault. Oh my God, he is terrible. He can't win the big game. Well, Lamar was there. They got a couple of words, and then now it's like, oh,
Offensive coordinator.
not Lamar's fault. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
offensive coordinator. But anyway,
yeah.
so Lamar needs to get smoked, but stop
Yep.
treating him like
Yep.
LeBron. That's what
Like I said,
LeBron treats him.
I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well. I mean, if you
Yeah,
go
do
back to
good.
last episode, what did I say? I said exactly like I'm rooting for him. I want him to do well, but I know it's
Yeah,
coming,
yeah,
and
me
it
too.
came.
Me too.
It's sad. I mean,
Yeah,
it
me too.
sucks. Seems like I'm a hater, but again, it happened. So
We watched tape. I know.
yeah,
Not to add, not
mm,
to be not to be the dead horse, but we watched tape. I like Lamar, but he's limited as a passer.
mm,
So I hope Lamar, if you ever watching the show, spend some time with Jordan Palmer. He turned a lot of people's careers around
mm,
and would help you because you have to be. If Lamar can pass the ball a little bit better and everyone's going, well, he does. But no. We watch the game. Okay. He doesn't go in tight windows. His anticipation is not that great. You can watch the game, right? So
yeah,
good job. But whatever.
yeah. All right. Well, I figured we were gonna talk about that one for a while.
Yeah, the last
Because
game is disappointing.
wow. And then came the NFC Championship game, which
Right.
I was like, man, I kind of was in and out watching it. Like I was out of, I was out of town, so um, I was kind of in and out watching it. So I watched the first half. I was like, whoo, boy, man, Detroit is lighting them up. Oh, they're going up and down the field. It's Detroit versus San Francisco. Everybody, by the way, sorry, I forgot to say that first. Um,
Yeah.
but lighting them up, going up and down the field. Hey, they're running, they're celebrating. James Williams all of a sudden knew how to play football. Um, Golf is
Oh,
all
yeah.
comfortable. Um, San Fran not being able to move the ball. You know,
It was
pretty.
bad.
Yeah, it was bad. It was like, wow, this is really easy. It's light work. And then the Lions became the Lions. And I was like, I knew it. It didn't matter what the score was like, unless it's like 45-7, Lions are not gonna win this game. And it sounded why would you think that? I was like, because they are going to be who they are eventually. They could play well for little spurts, but their defense is Swiss cheese. In that
Hmm.
third quarter, I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many yards they give the third. I don't remember, like what, 250 yards or something in the third quarter,
Yeah.
220 in one quarter.
Yeah.
Football. San Francisco's like, all right, forget it. Let's just, abuse them. So up 24-7 and end up losing 34-31. Um, what a game. And there's a lot of things to unpack. I did want again, I wanted Detroit to win. Um, but didn't think they would. Uh, Almost was right with it. Would have been a 10-point one, but Detroit scored at the end of the game, so I would have been right with that. Um, but Dan Campbell, we have to talk about Dan. Um, I like Dan Campbell actually as a coach. I think he's if I was a player, I would want Dan Campbell. He's got them always prepared. He understands what he's
Mhm.
doing. He's a good players coach. He listens to his players. He's actually is a good coach. But like there's levels of good, right? So let's say, there's like great was here, good is this level, and then there's like average and then like terrible. So in the good level, he's he's just above the bottom line of good. So he's not average. I actually think he's above average, but he's not at the top tier of good, if that makes sense. It sounds like a stupid comparison, but like if I was trying to hire a coach, I would look for good and better. I would look to hire him. But in order for him to move up, he needs to make better decisions. Like you got to be able to read the game and scenarios. Your team was up 24-7. You need to get points. Just kick the field goal. Like if you're not, if for some reason, say things happen, guy drop passes, Gibbs fumbles, whatever happens, you got to stop the bleeding. Like anyway, like getting points makes your team feel like they've accomplished them, even if it's just three. You're not going to be devastated mentally if you get three. You're like, dang, I wish I would have got seven, but we got something. Sorry, we stopped the run. Nope, not this guy. 4th and 8, let's go for it. 4th and 3, let's go for it. Let's just continue going for it. Nah, man. And then what would be frustrating for me is it's 21-7 at the end of the half, and they're at the 3-yard line. Nope. Or 2-yard line. He's like, nope, not going for it. I'm gonna kick the field goal then. So what are you doing? Are you going for it all the time, or are you kicking field goal? Like, what are you doing? I actually had no problem with him kicking the field goal. But to me, if he would have continued down that path, which means consistency, then they would have actually probably won the game. I really think that they
Right.
would have won the game because they would have stopped all this downhill avalanche that occurred. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's one thing. The second part that I want to talk about is Brock Purdy. Um, I thought he played good. I didn't think he played amazing. I did like the fact that he was able to rebound from the first half. But really, the biggest thing, and we'll talk about this in Super Bowl, and I think he better carry this over because his arm is still, it's decent, but he can't make, the tight window throws, which he's gonna have a lot more of them this week than he did last week for sure. Is use the way he used his legs in that game was the game. He said, you know what? I'm just gonna run it here. And there was no way Detroit thought that was going to be part of the game plan. Because it's not like he doesn't run, but he doesn't do it as often as he did that game. He had like 3 or 4 carries. He had went for 50 something yards.
He has less 4 yard less than Lamar, man.
Yes, right.
So
Less than Lamar. So that was the factor to me in the game why they won. Because now you're like, shoot, even if you did it one time or two times, they're like, oh, now I got a spy. And then all of a sudden those end cuts were able to happen. And, so that was, I thought, I know that they didn't talk about it. I know that was actually him. And I actually give him props for that because I think if he was trying to like prove to everybody that he was going to make, these throws, they would have not won because Detroit was playing back. They were like, all right, we're just going to play back and stop all the in cut stuff. So, um, props to him. And that's all I've really got to say. I mean, I thought Detroit's game plan was good. Um, but San Francisco's a better team. And we'll talk about the preview later about how I feel about them. But you can go ahead.
yeah. Oh, that game is. I watched the game and I couldn't believe it. So, football is all about just like we talked about last game, right?
Hmm.
Or yeah, the last game. the playoffs is always two plays, and I would say I don't have a problem with the fourth down going for it because Josh Renner literally dropped both the passes that were
Hmm.
he was open like the fourth. I mean, Jared Goff, but two plays.
That's
There were
the
technically
one.
three, no, three plays.
Well, the one, the third, the
The
fourth and
first one,
three, they definitely, it was like here, he should call it. The other one was
right?
behind him. It wasn't really that great of
But
a.
he still hit his hands. You know the rules.
It wasn't that great
Okay,
of.
but I am gonna blame Jared. But hold on. But there's three plays, right? So this was so my thing is Jared Goff, the number one pick, right?
Mhm.
His strength, his superpower is accuracy. That's his superpower. Doesn't have an arm. Doesn't throw. He does a nice ball, but it's really
Mhm.
you're the number one pick. You know, and so a lot of people ask Sean McVay. He never made it. Never told them why. You're like, well, why did you get rid of Jared Goff? He took you Super Bowl 2 years before and everything. And that game is why. Okay, so Jared Goff looks great at home, right? And he looks good. Even he did not play good in his he didn't play well at all in the playoffs. Okay, I'm just even in the Bucks game, he didn't really play well. Yeah, so he played
Yeah,
okay. Trust me.
yeah, it was okay.
I watched. Yeah, he played okay because they ran the
Right,
ball.
right.
Right, like Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery, they were taking a chance. But there are two plays. He missed that. It was 21-7. And I'm like, and then he got Gibbs on that 3 yard pass, which he had Sam Laporta, but pass it to big Gibbs. And then that's a chance where you can go to Super Bowl. Now, I mean, sorry, yes, go to
Um,
Super Bowl because if I really felt like
yep,
they scored
yep,
28,
yep,
it would have been a different momentum changer. So
yep.
so he on third down, he passed the ball. Jameson. Now that was a hard catch, Williams to get in the back of the end zone. It's hard. They hit him in his hands, but it was hard.
Hmm.
But he had Gibbs open. And
Yeah.
so he had Gibbs open. He should have thrown it to Gibbs. It would have been a touchdown. Different game. The next, not drive, but two drives later, second half, he has Sam Laporta open for a touchdown. Misses that one. So and those are the things that
Hmm.
differentiate you from winning the game, right?
Yep.
So
That's fair.
I mean, we can blame Jamar Gibbs on that fumble. Yeah, momentum change, but
Yeah.
you got Jared Goff has to prove people why he's a Pro Bowl quarterback, why they made a mistake to him, and he had a chance to prove to us, right, that he did it and he blew it to me.
Hmm.
Okay. And on the other side, Rudy, that's his name, because so Rudy over there,
Mm.
he's still not to me. He like Greg Jennings had. He's 16th ranked quarterback. I agree with him.
Yeah, that's fair.
Christian
That's fair.
McCaffrey Christian McCaffrey proved why he's MVP. Like literally, they were trying to triple team him and everything. He had two touchdowns, running through holes. He had that one touchdown, was crazy, making
Hmm.
moves. He just it just he's a very good quarterback. I mean, sorry, he helps your quarterback. He makes quarterbacks look better. Ask Jimmy G last year in the
Hmm.
beginning, so in the beginning of the season. Um, but the difference between Golf and Rudy, okay, is that he knows he can't make the throw. That's why he's not throwing it. He ran the ball because he's like, oh shit, I know I can't make that throw, so you know what? Might as well just tuck it and
Yeah.
run it because he can't make the anticipation throw, right?
Smart.
So you can, but just to sum it up, that game Detroit lost the game because
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm not upset because I know why. The first fourth down, you can see 3 points. The second one, I know
Yeah.
why they went. It was 27-24. The momentum was changing. Dan
Yeah.
Campbell needed something, right? So
Yeah.
I get why I'm talking about the first fourth down failure. They made the first fourth down, but or the failure, right?
Hmm.
So that's why I did it. And again, we all knew that Kyle Shanahan was going to make adjustments in the second half, and which he did because to your point, San Fran scored on every single drive except for the last one where
It
they
was
put
a kneel
the victory formation.
though.
So they scored on every single one, literally every single drive in the second half, and
Yeah.
that was a difference, right? So good luck, Detroit. Next
Yeah.
year, I don't like Dan. I like Dan Campbell's optim. I like what Dan Campbell said. He said, I don't know if we're going to be here again. Like this was our opportunity to
Yeah.
get to the Super Bowl. Literally
Yeah.
27. It was 24-7, and you blew the game.
Yeah.
But
You have 27
I would have bet.
points in the 27 points in the second half. 27. in the second half.
Right.
Wow.
And you know, and if I was in Vegas, I would have definitely bet the line on the second half of San Fran. Just because I
Guaranteed.
mean, I don't
Guaranteed.
know, if they're, I don't think they're going to win, but I would have definitely bet they would have came back.
Guaranteed.
Kind of had a, but you know, Kyle Shanahan was probably getting flashbacks of the
Yeah.
New England, but he's on the right side of the history of this one. But
Yeah. Yeah, it's
oh
true.
well, it's Detroit.
All right, well, it is Detroit, and so we'll see what happens to them next year. But yeah, it was a great game. Both good games though. Both I mean, 3 point and 7 point games. I mean, just different. Again, and the over was a lock in that one too, because again, Lions can't stop it. All right, so because of the results of those, and, we won't go into overkill on the Super Bowl because we've kind of talked about both teams, but it is a rematch of right before the pandemic, uh, that February 2020. It's San Francisco versus Kansas City again. San Francisco, I think the line has been going like this. It's like a windshield wiper. Kansas City, I mean, San Francisco's been favored every single time, but I think it's at
Two and a
one and a
half.
half. It was a two.
Oh
Yes, it
no,
was.
whatever.
I think it went to 2.5. Like today, it went from two, started 2.5, went down to 1.5, went to two. It was at two for a long time, went back to 2.5 last night. I was like, oh, it's 2.5. Then I checked it again. It's like 1.5. I'm like, what is happening? So what does that mean? I think what that means is that
No one
people
thinks
have
that no one
nobody,
knows who's gonna win.
yeah, nobody knows who's gonna win. And like the
It,
win,
it, it,
yeah.
go
But go
ahead,
ahead.
go
You
ahead.
you
Talk
got you
about it.
actually you go first.
No,
I was gonna
no,
say the win
no.
probability is San Francisco 53% if you look versus Kansas City at 47%. But I don't that doesn't mean anything. Kansas City's been
Yeah,
win probability has been
I
lower
bet.
than everybody throughout the entire playoffs besides Miami. But go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, not to because we talked ad nauseum for both teams, but
Mm-hmm.
this game is just this is my thing. I'll break it. The way I'll break it down is in Super Bowls, coaching matters, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, this is where you got 2 weeks to like, it's like when I see teams come out flat in bowl games, I'm like, yo, how you have a month off? You coming out flat, right? So like in college
Mm-hmm.
football, right? So you have 2 weeks. You're rested. Most time, most people are healthy. That are like little, not fully rested, but what you're going to see is different things that the defenses haven't seen before, right? So just like Nick Foles when he scored a touchdown the New England last year, the Spags put something different in Philadelphia. They're like, okay, now we got to need Jalen Hurts to throw the ball because they're committing to the run, so we got to change it up, right? So and then vice versa, right? So Philly just try to do different things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
you got probably two out of the three offensive geniuses, excluding Sean McVay, right?
Right,
So
right.
if you're talking about offensive, juggernauts, right? Just the coaching wise, you
Mm-hmm.
got two of the best right there, right?
Right.
Excluding Sean McVay. So we know that there's going to be something cooking on the offense.
Yeah.
Now the key to me is you got veteran defensive coordinators, right? So
Right.
you got veteran defensive coordinators, um, like what's his face, uh, Mike Wiltz, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and you got
Steve
Spags, right?
Steve Wilkes?
So no,
Steve
sorry,
Wilkes?
Steve Wilkes. Actually, Mike Wiltz guy I used to play basketball with. Steve Wilkes, and you got so you got two former like veteran ex head coaches. And
Mm-hmm.
let's be honest, they're probably not going to get a head. Maybe Wilkes will get a head job, but Spags is not getting one. He's going to be coordinator. Those guys are going to be coordinators. So
Yeah.
this is their time to like show. Spags already showed, and
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll show it. But is it time to like really are you really going to get yourself? Maybe I don't know why Spag's not head coach, but that's another topic for a different day. But what are they going to do? Because you already know that the offense is going to cook something up, right? So that to me that's going to be the key to the game is that what are the defense or coordinators going to adjust? I'm not even focused on the offense because I feel that Shanahan and Andy Reid are going to exploit what they can exploit from both defenses, right? So that's what's going to happen. But that's the key is what is the defense going to do matchup, right? For me, what I'm going to look for. And the second part is who is that going to be the X factor in this game? Like that's outside of a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
Who is going to affect the game outside of a superstar? Is it going to be MVS? I do have him on my fantasy playoff team, so hopefully he can do something. But
Yeah.
is it going to be MVS? Is it going to be Jennings? Is it going to? You know what I'm saying? Like you just
Hmm.
you never know who's gonna affect the game, right? So
Yeah.
I'm looking for that. But this game is so I've been going back and forth. KC wins because of experience, but San Fran, like this is the best team you're gonna have, like ever to me, because if everyone's the free agency is gonna start coming up and you're gonna start paying people. So
Hmm.
you're not gonna be able to keep this core. So and you got what nine, you have what 10 all pros on your damn team. If you can't win the Super Bowl, Kyle Shanahan, I don't know what else you can, right?
Yep.
I don't know what else to tell you because you're not going to be able to keep everybody.
Right.
Like you're just not going to, right? Um, so we'll see. I mean I went back and forth. I'll tell you my prediction is, but
Okay.
it's been interesting. But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll be in a second. I'll let you.
Okay. Yeah. That's pretty spot on. So, um, I think so here, so I was gonna save this for here because I think it does matter. Why I didn't talk about it during the San Francisco recap. Um, During these playoffs, I have been very disappointed with how San Francisco's been playing. Like all of a sudden, San Francisco's defense is terrible. When did this happen? They were like lights out, and then Baltimore beat them up, and then it's like they have completely lost their mojo. They can't stop anyone. Even the Green Bay game, really. I mean, Green Bay kind of lost it more than San Francisco stopped them. And then you saw Detroit was rolling up and down the field with Jared Sorry Goff. You know that they're going to run the ball because they don't want Jared Goff to throw the ball, and they couldn't stop him. So,
Right.
uh, what I did watch, I started watching I watched a little bit of film. I was watching a bunch of shows and stuff, and I saw, and this is disappointing. This is the NFC Championship game, and the effort that San Francisco's defense was playing with is terrible. It was terrible. I was like, yo, you guys are acting like this is just week 5 or something. Like
Right.
you need to play with effort. So that's two
You talking about
games for
Chase
the
Young?
yeah, Chase Young. Yep. Well, that's why
Well, yeah, yeah.
that's the reason why he got traded. Like, oh yeah, you get him. He's
For a
got a lot of talent.
third round pick.
Yeah, like woohoo. And they're seeing it now. You better keep him off on the sideline. Um, but yeah, like I if and this is going to go against everything that I stand for. If both teams played their best football, San Francisco's winning to me, and it wouldn't even be close because we've seen it. San Francisco's hitting on all cylinders. You're done. There's too
Yeah.
many weapons. They can protect the quarterback. They're running the ball. They're stopping the run. They're getting sacks. They're doing all these things. I don't care who you are. You're not beating them. But that San Francisco, I think, is waved bye bye. I haven't seen that San Francisco since Philly, and I don't even
Yeah,
remember what week
me
that
either.
was. That was what week 11. Since
Yeah.
then, I mean, they've won games, but they haven't really looked that as good. They might have won football games, but they're not they're not looking like a very invincible team. And you can feel that when you hear it, listen to them, and you watch them play. They, who they remind me of Kansas City, how they were like week 14 and 15. Like they knew they could play, they would win games, and they're like, but we got to figure this out. We're winning, but we got to figure it out. We'll get it together. You can't come in the Super Bowl
Right.
like that. Kansas City, they're not talking like that now. They feel
Yeah.
very confident. They know that they're going to be prepared. They know they're going to show up. And here's a stat for you, or I don't even have it in front, but Brock Purdy, you know, who do you think are the 3 best defenses in the NFL? Let's put it that way. If you'd have to say.
Cle- Cleveland.
Hmm.
Cleveland. Um, what Dallas? Well, at the time it was Dallas, Cleveland, and no, I'm sorry, Baltimore. What am I talking about? Baltimore, Cleveland, and Kansas City, probably.
Yes, I would think that too. How'd Brock Purdy do against those other two?
Yeah, terrible. I know, especially Cleveland.
Terrible. One
Yeah.
touchdown, 5 picks. Like terrible. I personally think pass defense wise, Kansas City is the best of all three of them. You're not throwing all over
Yeah.
Kansas City. You aren't. We already saw Josh
They
Allen was
run though.
great. You're not doing it. 189
Yeah.
yards, and he played a great game. You're not doing it. So San Francisco's going to have to run, and they're going to have to be disciplined to run this ball because I don't think Brock Purdy is going to throw all over them. And because of that, and because I don't think San Francisco's defense is playing at the level I think they are, I do think the Chiefs are going to win. I
Yeah, me too. Unfortunately.
and I don't, but there's no real reason why they should win, in my opinion. Like besides Mahomes, but I don't think I don't think San Francisco's the secondary is not that great, but they're not playing against wide
Yeah.
receivers that are going to threaten them. So it's not like you play against Amon Ra. Of course, he's going to do well, which he did. But who's their Amon Ra? I mean, Rashid Rice, he's decent, but he's not Amon Ra. And I'm like, I don't. And Green Bay's second. I mean, wide receiver core is better than Kansas City's. So you would think in theory that they would actually have a reprieve there, but I just don't like the way they're playing. And honestly, you
Right.
mentioned him. I don't trust Steve Wilkes. I don't. There's a
Yeah.
reason why he had to come from the up top to down, after a while.
Right.
So I think Chiefs are gonna win. I
Yeah.
think it's gonna be a low scoring game. I think what's gonna happen is what's been happening in all the games. The Chiefs are not gonna make a mistake. And when they don't make a
Right.
mistake, and San Francisco does, the Chiefs are going to win. That's how
Right.
they've been winning. They've won these two games because they didn't make any mistakes and the other teams did. Even the Bills game,
Right.
they made the
Yeah.
one fumble, of course, which is why it wasn't 34-24, right? But they're not making mistakes. They're not getting penalties. They're not, I mean, they're just playing. They're just being very professional about what they're doing, making the right plays, making you be smart. Let's see if San Francisco does it. I don't think they will, personally.
Yeah. It's gonna. I just feel it's gonna be like 2 years in a row where the better team just doesn't show up. Like like talented. I'm just say more talented team. Like
Yeah.
the Eagles last year should have won.
Yes.
And so we'll
Yes.
see. But I just think, like I said, it's Sam to your point. I think the Chiefs are gonna win. Plus, they're staying at the same hotel I got married in Lake Las Vegas. So
That's
I
true.
was hoping the Bills are gonna make it. But yeah, it's gonna be like I said. To me, it's the coordinators. It's gonna how they're gonna scheme up,
Mhm,
and then
mhm.
whoever wins that game.
Yep. And like you said, Andy Reid, two
All right.
weeks.
Well, Kansas
Yeah.
City is gonna be you're gonna be the goat.
I
It's
know.
gonna.
I know. I think I did pick them to win the Super Bowl before the year, actually. Um,
Yeah,
so I just thought they were going to be
unfortunately.
playing us
Right.
instead of them, but I did pick them to go to the Super Bowl and win. I'm not happy about it. Anyways, all right. So that is the Super Bowl preview for this week. We will be watching. Oh, I forgot to mention. Okay, that's the one thing before we jump over to the next topic. Why am I not excited about the Super Bowl? Because I really don't like both teams. Can I just say that? I don't like both teams. I hate San Francisco. I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm not gonna root for San Francisco. I just don't want to root for them. Also, not that I hate. I mean, I respect Kansas City, but I'm annoyed by them. Not because they're winning. It's just I can't put my finger on it. Just I think it's Pat. I know he's a good player, but he just kind of annoys me a little bit. It's
With
kind
that
of like the
voice, with the
Brady.
Kenny
It's like
Rogers voice.
it might be the voice. It might be the Brady part, and it doesn't mean he's not great. It's like I mean, like I'm ultra
Pump the
competitive, so
brakes.
I get it, and so maybe it's just something about him that just drives me nuts. But
Well,
I respect
yeah,
him more than any players because the guy produces when you ask him to. He doesn't actually try to go overboard. He's like, nope, I'm just gonna make the play, which is what you want your quarterback to do. He's actually the ultimate game manager, and people hate that topic, but that is Pat Mahomes, ultimate game manager. He didn't throw for 400 yards against Baltimore. It's like, oh, what running backs open? Oh, Kelsey. Oh, and you get annoyed. You're like, golly. Man, he keeps throwing these 4 or 5 yard passes. Next thing you know, it's 3rd and 2. It's what Tom Brady used to do. He never gotten like 3rd and 10.
Right.
Always keep the
Well,
change
yeah,
moving.
I gotta respect him, but you know what? Well, I'll end it at this.
Yeah.
All them Eric Bieniemy haters, I can guarantee you, Bieniemy used to beat his head like, "Don't make these mistakes, don't throw these balls."
Yep.
I'm just being honest. I think
Right.
between Andy Reid and Bieniemy, they like really like had to settle him down because he was like a wild stallion out of college, right?
Oh yeah.
So, but yeah, but again, what I'll leave it at this. The GOAT conversation is funny to me because both um, Aaron Rod, like the top three quarterbacks ever, Aaron Rodgers, right? Tom Brady. Well, not top three, but let's say top five. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes.
Hmm.
None of them were on trash teams. They never took like the Bears that were, or
Right.
the Lions that were trash and made it. But
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that. Like none of them were like on a god awful team. And
Yeah.
people forget about that in football, man. Like
You mean like
put
Peyton
Pat
Manning was?
Mahomes, yeah, Peyton Manning or John Elway. I was gonna say the Broncos were not that great in the '80s. When people forget, like
Yeah.
they were not good. So,
Right.
but yeah, like Peyton Manning.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's why I hate quarterbacks wins. I hate quarterback wins. But
Yeah.
hey, he won the six and the AFC Championship games. Good for him. But
Yep.
we'll move on.
Yeah. Yeah. No props to him for sure. All right. So last but
I
not
can't stand his
least,
wife either.
I
That's
was
another
white.
reason why his wife's annoying and his brother. But go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. His brother's got some issues. But yep. All right. Well, last but not least, NBA talk. I always get excited NBA. So, because I'm glad my team on the over my shoulder, they're done. I don't want to think about them. So, orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies today. It is the New York Knicks have made another trade, and there's a bunch of trades that happened at the deadline. But to me, and of course, I'm a little biased, but and not just me. I've been listening to other people. I want to make sure I wasn't just too biased. They all think that we won the trade deadline move. The New York Knicks have traded Evan Fournier, who doesn't get to play at all. Malachi Flynn, who was part of the OG Anunoby trade, if you can recall, he was there. He didn't get to play at all. Quentin Grimes, who I'm a little, I feel a little certain way about, but he also wasn't getting that many minutes. He went from being a starter to coming off the bench and playing good
Right.
bench minutes to you playing, but you got like 7, 8 minutes. That's all you got to make moves. And then Ryan Arcidiacono, who is a legend at the bank because that dude, I think you said it, right? Didn't you say that he has a record? He scored no points in like 20 something straight appearances. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah. I shared it.
which is that's a record. That's pretty. That means you got skills, man. You
It
got
is a
skills.
record. It is a record.
You got skills to be on a
That's
team and can't get 1 point.
27 straight games.
That is incredible. And 2 second-round picks, by the way. So we didn't give up any first-round picks because the Knicks, and I'll give these, and we'll talk about the front office in a minute. I'll give them credit because we're not going all in and getting all. We want to get a big name or somebody else for next season. We got cap money. We have all these first round picks still. We go all those, so 2 second rounders and those guys for Alec Burks, former Nick, who I liked. I was very sad to see him go. Veteran. He's a shooting guard. He can but he also played backup point guard for us too. So he can create, which is good for us. We need to have a guy that can be versatile. And one of my favorite players in the NBA, I talk about him all the time, Bojan Bogdanovic. So if you're not an NBA person, like, who is this Bojan Bogdanovic guy? Like, why would you care about a guy that you can't even pronounce his name? Well, this year alone, and he's playing at Detroit. He's averaging over 20 points a game. He's shooting 40 some percent from three. He's like 6'9", 6'10", right? 6'9", 6'10".
Mhm.
Um, kind of he's solid guy, so he can score inside, but he can hit shots outside. He's tough. And to me, reason why I love it is we need guys that can score. Like, it's cool to play defense all day, but eventually I need a guy that can hit a shot. I need a guy that can score in a versatile way. Getting Boyan is gonna help us so much. And for the people like that feel like I do about Julius Randle, What you will possibly see, and he's going to be mad at it, is we're not going to have to rely on Julius Randle to be the only one making baskets anymore. That's why I like this move. We never had another power forward that could challenge Randle. If Randle was not playing well, we're like, well, there's nothing we could do about it. We just let Randle have 6 turnovers. Now I got Bojan Bogdanovic who can make some shots. So very happy. We didn't give up any players that are actually contributing to our team for 2 guys that are going to be very good rotational players. I think, yo, Thomas, I know it's going to sound like a homer. I think we got one of the best rosters in the East, man, top to bottom. We're already third or fourth. We're already fourth, tied for fourth in the
Right.
East. And that's and what, half a game back of third or something, or a game back of third. We get everybody back,
I
man.
think
Or sorry, half game back of third, a game back of second. Sorry, of second. We get up to
right.
second or third. I think it's Eastern Conference Finals, man. I'm just gonna say that. I can see it. I can see it. I haven't been this happy, and that's why I got my man's jersey right here, Thomas. I haven't been this happy since we got Carmelo Anthony. And I'm happy we got OG, but this move
Yeah.
right here, I was asking for it, and those boys must have tapped into my Knicks chat, and got the exact trade that I wanted. So anyway, you got any thoughts on this one?
No, that's good. I mean, he's gonna come off the bench, right? Or
Oh
is he
yeah, for sure.
starting?
No, he's gonna call off the bench. Which is how
Yeah,
good we
that's what
got
I
a
mean.
20
So
point a game scorer coming off the bench. And
yeah,
Alec Burks, who scores like 14, 15 points a game off the
yeah.
bench.
So
Problems.
Alec Burr got a jumper too.
Yes, he did.
So and
Yeah.
so I mean, let's see, he still has that. But he hasn't been shooting as much, but he's having a jumper back in Colorado. But yeah, I mean, that's a good trade. I mean, that's for the Knicks making the right moves.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense why they got rid of R.J. Barrett
Yeah.
because they're putting guys that are like score but veteran.
Yep.
You also want like you want Bogdanovic is he's 34 years old. He's a veteran. He still can play, but
Yep.
it's all about like when you get to playoffs, man.
Yep.
Playoffs
Yeah.
experience is the key,
Yep.
and also to your point, Julie, he also like he can get the ball out of Julius Randle's hand. You can't have
Yes.
Julius Randle like he did last year in the playoffs. Like, buddy, you got to
Yep.
give the ball. You ain't LeBron. You can't be bringing the ball up, trying to facilitate, and then
Yeah.
so that's a good. It's a good trade.
Yeah, man.
So
I think it's a good move, man. But yeah, so there's a bunch of other trades too that happened. So of course I don't want to hijack it with this, but think some anyone you want to highlight in particular, or you want me to just kind of
no, I
run
mean
down?
for the Rock is made. I like the trade the Rock is made, but he's not going to play next year with Steven Adams. I mean they're going to
Oh yes.
get rid of but he won't play next year. It looks like they're no. I mean the only trade I mean the Sixers with Buddy Hield,
Yeah.
Bobby Hield. I'm sorry, Buddy Hield.
Yeah, Buddy
So
Hield.
that's actually going to be. The Sixers haven't had a damn 3-point shooter like that, and so I mean Maxey you can count, but like a true 3-pointer, like if
Right.
somebody can shoot the ball to help
Yeah,
Embiid in and out game.
I think
So
that I agree with you. You just made a great point because I like DeAnthony Melton, but he's been hurt. But really, Buddy Hield
yeah,
is a way better fit, and DeAnthony Melton
right,
could actually play off the bench, which they need. They need bench scorers because Maxey comes out. It's like I don't really have anybody that can do anything. So I didn't think about that. I think it's great. I mean, Marcus Morris, whatever, and Furkan Korkmaz, whatever. But the Pacers, I actually feel like they need a Marcus Morris. They need a vet. So he's gonna help them be a good backup role maybe for Siakam or something like that. But yeah, I do think that's a good move. Who I thought personally has made some good moves is Dallas. So Dallas, they needed some help with their big men, and they traded Rashawn Holmes, who I like as a hustle guy, but he can't get playing time because that's all he does is hustle, and he's actually not. He's kind of undersized at the center for Daniel Gafford,
right,
who I don't understand why the Wizards would even trade him. He makes like $12 million a year. He's third in the league in field goal percentage at 69% from the field. He averages 11.8 points per game, 9 rebounds, 2.5 blocks. You can't get these guys. Like, why would you trade him? Like, for it says Sean Holmes in draft compensation. That draft compensation better be a first rounder. if not, you're dumb. But Dallas fleeced them on this deal, and now they went from having a weakness to a strength. Like he can play against other big men. Now you won't have to worry about, oh, we're just gonna get killed inside. And then the other move they made was getting TJ Washington from Charlotte. So he used to play in
Oh
Kentucky, if
yeah.
anybody remember that in college. He's actually pretty decent. He's on my fantasy basketball team, so I actually know his game pretty well. He's a really good three-point shooter, but he's versatile in terms. He's taller than Grant Williams. He can't defend at all, though. That's the one thing. I'm like, he can't defend a lick, like at all. But he's 6'9", so he gives them
Yeah.
size, and if they wanted to go small, he's still kind of big, but he's versatile as a scorer. So if they pat, Luca and Kyrie out there, he can hit an open three, but then if he had to put the ball on the ground, he can.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I actually think that those were um, uh, very good trades, as well as crazily Oklahoma City, who, by the way, if people aren't paying attention, they are first place in the West. Um, they traded Trey Mann, who, by the way, me and you know who he is. I actually like him as a player, but there's no way he's going to play with SGA and Giddy there. You're not playing. Sorry. You're on the roster, but
Yeah.
you're never going to play point guard for Oklahoma City. Davis Bertan, Vasily Micic, who got to play a lot, actually, which is interesting that they decided. I guess Charlotte had to throw him. He's actually not that bad. So it's going to be, I'm kind of interested to see who they're going to put in and a draft conversation for Gordon Hayward. Yes, the same Gordon Hayward that broke his leg, that was like got one of the richest deals when he played for Boston. That Gordon Hayward, who
Yeah.
he's actually having a pretty good year when he plays, because Gordon Hayward doesn't play that much because he
Right.
gets hurt every other week. But I actually like the move for the Thunder. They don't need him to be good, but they're playing like Wiggins, not Andrew Wiggins, the other guy. What's his? I can't remember his first name. He went.
We can. Oh.
Yeah, I don't even know. He's the other Wiggins, um, that plays for the Thunder, and he's not that great, you know. And
Right.
now you don't have to play him. You could actually, have um, Hayward in there and be able to. Aaron Wiggins, sorry, Aaron Wiggins is his name. He played at Maryland. He's averaging 6 points a game, right? So you've increased your ability to get guys to score, because that's their issue. They don't have a bench. It's like Lou Dort, Giddy, Holmgren, Jalen Williams, and then Shea Gilgis. After that, you hope Isaiah Joe hits a shot. Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins. Now you have Gordon, who I might start him. Sounds weird. I might start him, and I might put like Jalen Williams on the bench and have him go off and be your 20-point scorer off the bench. That might work for them. So, anyways, any you got anything that you
No.
want to say?
No. No. I mean, we'll talk more, but
Yeah, definitely moves. Yeah, other quick ones. The Suns got Royce O'Neal. Thought that was a great move for them. Um, the Celtics got Xavier Tillman, which I thought was a big move. It sounds like it's not that big a move, but it is for them. Celtics already loaded, but they needed a guy, a big man off the bench. It's like Porzingis, what's going to happen to him, and then you're going to have to rely on
right.
Al Horford. They
Right.
need somebody that can take the brunt of bodies, especially if Joel Embiid gets back.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Patrick Beverly is on the Bucks. He got traded. So, anyways, those are the moves, and we will talk more about the NBA later. If you look it up,
Yep.
Orange and Blue Skies. Enjoy the Super
Right.
Bowl. You got any last minute comments, Thomas?
I enjoy the Super Bowl. I don't. I really don't even know what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. So
Yeah.
enjoy it. I think Kansas City won, but enjoy it.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting
Mm.
game. So,
All right.
all right, everybody. Have a good
All right.
week. Talk to you later.
Take care.